Our top focus of this hour is Ukraine's biggest drone attack on Russia, and we're getting some breaking inputs on this story. 40 Russian jets bombed in Operation Spider Web. Ukrainian President Zelensky says 117 drones used in the operation. He goes on to say that 34% of cruise missile carriers hit by Ukraine. Ukraine planned this attack for 18 months. That's the latest update that is coming in. Ukrainian president has confirmed that 117 drones were used in Operation Spider Web and 34% of cruise missile carriers were hit. This attack was planned over 18 months, and Zelensky himself monitored this attack. He was involved in the planning as well. This is Ukraine's biggest drone attack on Russia. 40 Russian jets have been bombed in Operation Spider Web.
Загалом в операції було використано 117 дронів і відповідна кількість операторів дронів працювали. Вражено 34% стратегічних носіїв крилатих ракет на аеродромах базування. Діяли наші люди на території різних російських регіонів в 3 часових поясах. І наших людей напередодні операції з території Росії вивели. Зараз вони в безпеці. Готували операцію більш ніж 1,5 роки. Планування, організація, всі деталі були ідеально підготовлені. Можна сказати впевнено, що це абсолютно унікальна операція. Найцікавіше, і вже зараз це можна говорити публічно, офіс нашої операції на території Росії знаходився безпосередньо поруч з управлінням ФСБ Росії в одній з їхніх областей.
And India Today Global's Pranay Upadhyay is now joining us with more details on the story. Pranay, Ukraine's biggest drone attack on Russia. Give us more details about this entire attack and the losses that have been incurred by Russia.
You're absolutely right, Anjali. This is the biggest attack in last 3.5 years of the Russia-Ukraine war that the Ukrainian side has carried out within the Russian territory, and that too deep inside the Russian territory. If you go by the account given by the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, he said that a brilliant operation was carried out. He called it a brilliant operation. He said that he authorized this operation, this attack, about 1.5 years ago. And a long preparation took, went into this operation, and they have carried out this operation from the Russian territory. In fact, he claimed that the tactical office which they created to carry out this attack on Russia and various Russian military targets was next to the FSB. FSB is like their external, intelligence agency, so Federal Service Bureau. So that he had claimed that they have created an office next to FSB. So this is what they have claimed. Even Russians have admitted that the FPV drones, the first-person view drones, which are the small drones, which were used for this carrying out this attack. However, the Russian Defense Ministry claimed that most of the drones have been shot down. And however, there has been some damages, especially in the Siberian regions, Murmansk area, which is a military base of Russia. The Ukrainian side claims that the many strategic missile storage bases and many the strategic bombers which were used to carry out attacks on Ukraine were targeted, and they have successfully carried out this operation. The interesting feature of this operation, this attack, drone attack by Ukraine, is like this is like a Trojan horse story. They have carried out this attack by using these small drones, which were transported from Ukraine to Russia. They have assembled these drones within the Russian territory. They have carried out. They've sent their people to Russia to carry out this attack, and then just before launching this attack, they withdrew those individuals. However, the Russian side has claimed that
All right.
they have arrested few individuals, after this attack.
All right, Pranay, do stay with us as we're getting some more inputs on the story that we're tracking. After talks with Zelensky and Macron, US senators warned that Putin is preparing for more war. Remember, 40 Russian jets bombed in Operation Spiderweb by Ukraine. Ukraine planned this attack for 18 months, and the strikes were approximately 5,000 kilometers deep in Russia. But the latest update that is coming in is that after talks with Zelensky and Macron, US senators have warned that Putin is preparing for more war. India Today Global's Pranay continues to stay with us. Pranay, is there a strong possibility of retaliation from the Russian side after this drone attack?
If you see, Anjali, that in last few days, there have been escalation in conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Before the Ukrainian attack, we witnessed a big attack, especially the drone attack carried out by the Russian side on the Ukrainian territory. And Russia has consolidated its position in various territorial gains and territorial regions, especially the Donetsk and Luhansk area, and the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant and adjoining areas. So this clearly shows that before going to a negotiating table, before announcing any ceasefire, the Russian side is also trying to consolidate its position. Similarly, the Ukrainian side, after this big attack using hundreds of drones, they are also trying to hit back at Russia, and not only hitting back at Russia, but they are also trying to consolidate their positions. Today, there are very crucial talks in Istanbul, but in the backdrop of these recent drone attacks by either sides, we are yet to see that how these talks will progress, and can there be a possibility of a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine, especially in the wake of these recent drone attacks by either side.
All right, Pranay, thank you so much for getting us all those details. In fact, we'll keep coming back to you for more updates on this. So Ukraine has launched a massive drone attack on Russian aircraft. The massive operation, codenamed Spiderweb, was in the works for over a year and a half and was greenlit by President Zelensky himself. According to officials, this is the most damaging Ukrainian drone attack of the entire war and is a significant setback for Moscow. The strikes have come on the eve of a fresh round of peace talks in Istanbul. On June 2nd, that is today. Russian media is calling it Russia's Pearl Harbor. Ukrainian drones hit more than 40 Russian aircraft, including Tu-95 and Tu-22 strategic bombers, which Russia uses to fire long-range missiles at Ukraine. The strikes also caused a huge blast in Severomorsk, one of the key cities for the Russian Navy where nuclear-armed submarines are maintained. The strikes, up to 4,300 kilometers deep inside Russia, simultaneously hit 4 Russian military air bases and the naval base in Severomorsk. Russia's defense ministry has called it a terrorist attack across 5 regions and claimed that all attacks were repelled.
The sense is pretty clear. You see, Ukraine agreed to start ceasefire a month ago. Russia didn't stop fire. They have been bombing us all this time. And this special operation was aimed at destroying those bombarders, those planes that launch missiles and also air bombs at our cities. It is not about killing someone. It is about preventing the risk for us to be bombed. As our intelligence service reported a couple of days ago, that numerous planes landed on this Olenya airfield in Saratov region, also in many others, and they all carried missiles and bombs. So in a couple of days, they were going to fire Ukraine with a variety of missiles, ballistic missiles, other types of missiles, also drones, and this was a pretty prevention. This is the sense.
This happens to be one of the biggest attacks by Ukraine on Russia in past 40 months of this war that has been ongoing. And 4 major air bases of Russia have been struck, and over 40 aircraft have been reportedly struck by these particular drone attacks. This is the improvised drone attack, which we can see that the trucks were used. In these trucks, the drones were stored, and from a very far away distance, Anjali, this kind of attack was inflicted onto Russia's air bases. And these air bases, which have the strategic aircraft that were being used for attack against Ukraine, have been have been attacked by Ukraine in this particular area. So Russia supposedly did not expect this kind of an attack from Ukraine amid the talks that were ongoing. And remember, last week only, there were attacks on Ukraine also from Russian side, and over 300 drones were flown from Russia. Around 12 to 13 lives were also lost in those attacks. So since one week, this happens to be one of the major attack that seems to be an escalation from Ukraine. Russia is also expected to retaliate, Anjali, as we've seen through the war. But this kind of an attack, the attack using multiple drones, that too on the trucks, has been seen for the first time, and it has majorly impacted Russia. That's what it seems to be.
And ahead of the peace talks in Istanbul, Ukraine has launched a massive offensive against Russia, escalating the tensions between the two warring nations. After keeping Russia and Turkey in suspense, Ukrainian President Zelensky has confirmed that his defense minister would represent the country in the second round of peace talks with Russian officials. However, Zelensky has firmly stated that Ukraine will not compromise on its independence. He has also called for a full unconditional ceasefire. In fact, he has also called for the release of prisoners by Russia. On the other hand, Russia has stated that it has already formulated its peace terms but won't reveal them ahead of the talks. Meanwhile, Russian media has reported that the Russian delegation is en route Istanbul. Remember, the talks in Turkey follows a push from US President Trump, who wants this war to end as soon as possible.
Росіяни свій меморандум так і не передали нікому. У нас немає, турецької сторони немає, також у американської сторони російського документу немає. Попри це, ми спробуємо досягти хоча б якогось прогресу на шляху до миру.